به ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Why do that? We continue 3:43 p.m. Sunday, January 13, 2019, which is now on the Hijri calendar, Jumad al-Ula or Jumad al-Awwal, or the 6th of Jumad al-Awwal, the year 1440 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. We continue Buloogh Al-Maraam by the great illustrious Imam Sheikh Ahmed ibn Ali ibn Hajj al-Asqalani al-Mutawaffa sanata 852. Ahmed ibn Ali ibn Hajj al-Asqalani, who died 852 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. And we finished the hadith speaking about the Yahud, or the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah. We said the hadith of Jabir and these narrations, which are from the chapter of Kitab al-Nikah, which to show, like I said, keep in mind what we mentioned last week, of being very mature about discussing these matters. And let's not be immature by making certain gestures or little hints or laughing and giggling. Rather, we take this seriously. We take these matters serious, and it's to show the comprehensiveness of our religion, how comprehensive it is to the point where we know exactly in every aspect and every affair of our marriage, socially, it gives us some type of detail, and it gives us some type of knowledge of what Allah is pleased with and what He's displeased with, and what are His boundaries that He set for human beings to indulge in, and what are the bounds, or what are the affairs, what are the affairs that transgress and exceed those bounds. Even in the affairs of what is considered private social affairs pertaining to intimacy and the likes of that. So we were discussing the narration Jabir ibn Abdullah, as it says, قالت كانت اليهود, as we talked about who are the Yahud, and that they said if a man was to be intimate with his wife from behind her in her private part, that the child will become cross-eyed. It says كان الولد أحول, كان الولد أحولا. It says فنزلت. So he said that if a man was intimate with his wife in this manner, that the child will be born cross-eyed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the ayah, or the ayah was sent down. He said that your women is a harvest for you, so come to your harvest how you will. And we said that this narration is agreed upon Bukhari and Muslim. We talked about the Yahud, as you'll find that there are a lot of affairs in which you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this last revelation, clarifying all the misconceptions and all the different types of false beliefs in regards to Him that the previous nations believed. Not only in regards to belief system, but even in regards to certain matters that you'll find that the Jews, and likewise the Christians, that they altered in the affairs of mu'amalat, in the affairs of dealings, whether they be social or domestic or business transactions. You'll find that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarified certain matters that they indulged in, that they declared to be unlawful. But however, in the religion and in the Sharia, or the correct legislation, it was allowed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted it. So you'll find there are certain affairs where they twisted their religion. They made certain things that Allah made lawful, they made it unlawful. And certain things that Allah made unlawful, they made it lawful. So they twisted it. And from those is, the examples of this is this narration of what we've been speaking about now, which is intimacy in regards to this matter of how a man can come to his wife in this position in which it's been allowed, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belied and rebutted this claim of theirs that is not permissible for a man to be intimate with his wife in this manner. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed a man to come to his wife who's considered a harvest for him. And we know harvest, meaning that of what we understand, of when a man plants the seed in the ground, and then he gives it its fertilization, and gives it all its different types of nutrients that allows it to grow. Then, if Allah preordains the matter, then something will come back as something will come back as something as a produce or something that has been that's been matured to the point where it starts to grow. So in this regard of this type of harvest, like we said, the place of harvest for a woman is her private part. That is the expected place in which if a man is intimate with a woman in this regard, then, as we know, these are how human beings were reproduced, and this is how the lineage, or if you want to say the prodigy of an individual continues. And these are how human beings last on the earth. This is how they continue, and this is how they continue their lineage and their families, based upon, like we said, of intimacy. And we know that, like we said, that is from the greatest intents of nikah is for this reason, for families and human beings to continue to exist on the earth, and for families to continue and to families to grow, and for them to be in this manner as far as in regards to building them and allow them to continue and to exist. And that only takes place, like we said, by firstly, number one, marriage, then second, which is intimacy, then not only just intimacy, but a lot of us think that that's where it stops. Intimacy, and then the child is born. But not only the child being born, but the hardest of jobs in which a lot of us do not want to be man enough to face up to it, is to actually raise them and cultivate them. Those are the hardest jobs that a lot of people do not like to take on. But however, like we said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down this ayah refuting the Jews. That he said that your women is a harvest for you. Meaning that they are a place of agriculture. So it's as if Allah linguistically said the word harth. And harth means like harvest. Harth. Harth is, which is a place, Allah said, your women is a harvest. Meaning that they're a place of agriculture, that meaning you plant your seed in. And I think everyone understands what meaning of seed is as far as the wands, sperm. And we know that the earth is a harvest for mankind where he plants his seed, and then, like we said, vegetation or agriculture comes forth. So a man, he puts that seed and he puts it in the place of where it's a harvest, which is the woman's private part. And like we said, if Allah preordains an affair, then a child will be born, or a child will now start to be conceived or start to grow in the womb of the mother. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah, come to your harvest how you will. Like we said, based upon this word harvest, that we know that the woman's private part, that is the place of harvest. That is the place of harvest of more than likely which will occur. And like we said last class, that is also to show that it's impermissible for a man to indulge inside of other matters, such as, like we said, in regards to the anus, and also likewise homosexuality. As those are not places of harvest, a man could be intimate, a man, if he was intimate with a man or a woman in this regard, a child would never come forth. If a man planted his seed in that part or that area, which is not a place of harvest, there will never be a child born from that place. Which is to clearly show that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has all knowledge and all awareness of the words that he used in his book. So if people contemplated on the meanings, they would know what is allowable and what beyond that is considered transgressing the bounds. Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word what? Harth. Harth, like we said, ha'ratha. Harth, which means harvest. And we know that the only place of harvest for the woman is the private part. And that is the only place that will give birth to a child, which is one of the reasons of why we get married. One of the reasons why we get married. So this shows how comprehensive the religion is, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed the man to be intimate with his wife. And like I said, we want to be mature about these matters, everyone, and not to laugh and not to giggle and not to make gestures and hints and be immature. That we said that this ayah is to show that it's permissible for man to be intimate from the front and from behind or what have you, as long as it's in the private part, even on the side or what have you. That all these are the bounds that Allah has allowed. And from the benefits of this hadith is a lot of affairs. From the benefits of these narrations, number one, is that the Jews, that they used to have claims and which were baseless. And from them was this matter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuted a lot of their claims. For example, that Uzair was the son of Allah, or that Jesus wasn't even a prophet and messenger that was sent to them. They had a lot of different matters and a lot of different types of evil and wickedness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down, clarifying what was the truth, where they deviated from. And for that reason, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, that's where you'll find, and I want everyone to, I want to give a little bit details on what I'm about to say. At the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in narration, he said, إذا حدثنا بنو إسرائيل فلا تصدقوهم ولا تكذبوهم. There's a narration, as we know, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the people Bani Israel, who's Banu Israel, everyone? The Jews. That the Jews, if they tell you something, do not believe them and do not belie them. What does he mean by that? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the akhbar, or the different types of narrations in which they'll narrate, breaks down into three categories. So Bani Israel, who are the Jews. And we said Bani Israel means who, everyone, as we said, discussed last class. Who was Israel, or who was, matter of fact, I'll give the answer if I said that. Who's Israel? Who's Israel? Who's that? Who is that? I said this to the last class a couple of weeks ago. No, who's Israel? Not the children of Israel. Jayid. The sister says Yahuda. Yahuda, who's the son of who? Yaqub. Yahuda was Israel. Israel, the son of Yaqub, the son of Jacob. The son of Jacob. He said, if the children, the Prophet ﷺ said, if the children of Israel tell you something, don't believe them and don't belie them. When the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said this, he's saying that the narrations of the children of Israel, meaning Bani Israel, who are the Jews, he said that they basically break down to three types. The first category, number one, is what? The legislation of the Kitab and Sunnah, what it vouches for it being true, or what it confirms of being true. I'll say it again. The narrations of what Bani Israel, based upon what the Messenger of Allah said in this narration. He said, if the people of the book, or the Jews, if they tell you something or narrate you something to you, don't believe them and do not belie them. What does that mean? So now we're going to break it down. So what the narrations of the people from the Jews or from the people of the book, especially Bani Israel, meaning the Yahud, the Jews, breaks down to three categories based upon this hadith. First one is what Kitab and Sunnah, what the Shara' of Kitab and Sunnah, what it confirms. What it confirms. That is what Kitab and Sunnah confirms, then we accept it wholeheartedly and we do not reject it. Meaning what our religion confirms of it being true. What our religion, or what the legislation of the Prophet ﷺ, which comes in Kitab and Sunnah, what it confirms. If it confirms it, then we accept it wholeheartedly. We do not reject it. For example, let's just say in their book they believe that Allah is above the heavens. Do we belie that? Or do we belie that, or do we accept it? No, we accept it. Because why? Because Kitab and Sunnah has what? Confirmed that. The Kitab and Sunnah confirms it. The second category is what Kitab and Sunnah rejects. Meaning they come with a narration, and it will what? You'll find that in Kitab and Sunnah that goes against what they believe. Here, in this instance, it's incumbent upon us to reject it. An example of that is what comes in this hadith here. What comes in this hadith. That we know that the Jews, they should do what? Said it's impermissible to be intimate with a woman in this manner. And we said, and we've just proved that this is what? This is not true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the ayat clarifying that what they believe in this type of claim of theirs is rejected. It's unacceptable. So, what comes in Kitab and Sunnah which rejects their claim or rejects their act. Another example you'll find, which for example, that the Jews, from their practices, that if a woman was on her mens, they would not what? They would not socialize with her. They would distance themselves from her during her time or during her time of mens. They wouldn't eat with her. They would not eat from the same plate with her. They would not interact with her. They would distance themselves from her. And we know also that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly came with narrations that clarified that this type of treatment is also unacceptable. That interaction with a woman while she's on her mens is legislated. Of eating with her and sleeping with her. When we mean sleeping, meaning being in the same bedroom and laying in the same bed, of course. And the Messenger of Allah also gave us narrations of what's permissible for a man to do while she's on her mens sexually or as far as intimacy. Which also belies their types of what? Their types of treatment. So the Messenger of Allah, as we know, Aisha used to put an izar wrap it around her, so the Messenger of Allah wouldn't see the actual blood during the time of her mens and hide it. And the Messenger of Allah would fondle with her and do other things that are pleasurable, which is considered to be in the bounds. So all those is to show that what? The types of treatment that the Jews would do to their wives was unacceptable. You'll find that it opposed Kitab and Sunnah, and for that reason, we rejected it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Then you have the third category. The third category of what? You'll find of their belief in what our religion does not accept, nor does it reject. It doesn't confirm it, nor does it belie it. What's our position in this regard? Our position in this regard is what they call a tawaqquf. A tawaqquf fi. To basically what? Stop. Not to accept it, not to what? Reject it. Not to accept it, not to reject it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. If you look in the narration where the Prophet ﷺ said, or you'll find that Jabir ibn Abdullah, he said that the ayah descended. The ayah descended. The ayah descended. This shows what, everyone? That the word dissension, or that the ayah descended, meaning that it came from above. It came from above. So what's extracted from this is to show that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above the heavens. Because the ayah says that فَنَزَلَتْ. If you look in your books, it says the ayah was revealed. Meaning that it was revealed and it descended from above. The ayah was revealed, meaning it came from above. Which is a clear indication that the Quran is the speech of Allah. The speech of Allah, brothers, sisters, does it have words and letters? Or is it just a meaning and that's it? I'll say it again. Does the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Does it comprise of words and letters? Or excuse me, I'm sorry. Does it comprise of words and letters and meanings? Or is it just a meaning and that's it? Jayyid. Words, letters, and meanings. Excellent answer. It's harfan and it's ma'nan. The speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is letters and its meanings. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke with letters. Also, sisters, is the speech of Allah, is it heard? Is it heard? The Quran. J. The speech of Allah, when we say, of course, the Quran, we say that's heard. I should have clarified. I gave a little bit more detail. What I mean is by the speech of Allah, meaning the Quran. Is the Quran heard? Which is the speech of Allah. Is that heard? Yes. Jayyid. That we know Jibreel heard it, and he also conveyed it until it was put in the heart of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Taib, is it correct, sisters, to say that the speech of Allah is just a mere meaning that's done inwardly in himself, and it's not something that's heard, and then it doesn't have letters, it doesn't have any words? Is this correct? The speech of Allah is just a meaning, and it's also done inwardly in himself, inside of, or inwardly, or internally, or if you want to say that which is internalized inside of someone. That the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what is done inwardly. And it's not something that's heard, and it's not something that's done with words or letters. Is that correct? We said no. This belief is the belief of what I talked about last class with everyone. This is the belief of the Ash'ari, the Ash'ari, the Ash'aris. The Ash'aris believe this. The Ash'aris believe this. The Ash'ari believe this. That the speech of Allah is not true speech. You'll find they say it's metaphoric, it's majaz, or it's majazi. You say it's metaphoric, it's done inwardly, and it's not heard, and it doesn't have any letters. No, it doesn't have any letters or words. And it doesn't have a voice either. And when we talk about voice, he's talking about the characteristic of Allah's, not the actual Quran. And they also say that the Quran, they also say that the Quran is created. The Ash'ari also say that. You'll find that Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah also came with a refutation against the Ash'ari in this particular characteristic. And he named the book called Tis'iniyah, which is about 3 volumes. And I have it in my library. It's called Tis'iniyah. It's called 90, or if you want to say, for lack of better words, 90ism. 90ism. Why is it called 90ism? Shaykh al-Islam has a book called 90ism. Why is it called 90ism? Meaning that he came with 9 different aspects of refuting the Ash'ari of this belief, or this corrupted belief of theirs. That the speech of Allah is not true speech, it's metaphoric, it's done inwardly, and it's done without any voice, or it cannot be heard, and it has no letters and it has no words. So he came and refuted the Ash'ari in this book by 90 instances, or 90 aspects, rebuttaling this ideology and rebuttaling this corrupted belief. And he called it Tis'iniyah, which is like 90ism, meaning from 90 ways he refuted them and rebutted them in 90 ways. And also likewise their claim that the Quran is created. He refuted that likewise. So we said that the word, if you look in your books, everyone, the word, if you look in the hadith, it says that the ayah was revealed. So that shows that the the ayah came from above, which necessitates what, everyone? That firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above. He's above the heavens. And Jibreel descended with certain ayat. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was everywhere, why did Jibreel used to descend from above with revelation? That's the questions that we utilize in order to refute the notion that Allah is everywhere. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not above, then why did Jibreel descend with revelation from above? Why? So all these different types of notions doesn't make any sense. To say that Allah is not above or to say that Allah is everywhere, this is something that is confusing, that even the natural disposition of the human being does not accept. Because naturally a human being, with his natural disposition, if it has not been affected, like we talked about before, by outside influences or corruptive ideologies or the influences of this world, he would naturally believe that Allah exists and that naturally believe that Allah deserves to be worshipped, and he also naturally believe that Allah is above. That's a natural inclination and disposition of a human being. And all this, like we said, makes sense. When a human being hears that his Lord is above him, his fitrah, his natural disposition accepts this. Because this is how Allah created every human being to instinctively know. Without any outside influences corrupting it, this will be his natural belief. Also, it's extracted from the word nazalat, that the ayat was revealed, is to say that the ayats in the Quran of how they were revealed breaks down to two categories, sisters. That how the ayats in the book of Allah breaks down to two categories. You'll find that the first category is qismun ibtida'i, meaning that the ayat just was sent down without any reason, or without any, if you want to say, any type of event that occurred. As a result, Allah sent down the ayat because of it. So the first category is ibtida'i. When we say ibtida'i, meaning Allah sent it down without any reason. So that's the first category. And a majority of the ayats in the Quran are from this kind. The Allah sent down the ayat. There is another category. The second one is what they call sababi, meaning because of something that occurred. Sababi. Sababi means because, or it's a reason of why it was sent down. Meaning it was revealed due to a reason. This second category is small in regards to the first. However, knowing the reasons of why ayats were revealed are also beneficial because it aids one into understanding the ayah properly. It aids one in understanding the ayah properly. An example of that, you'll find a person would say, well, what's an example? There's a lot of examples. One example which comes in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 58. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Verily, as-safa wal-marwa min sha'a'ilillah. فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما فمن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم. The ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the ayah where it says, Verily, Safa and Marwa, meaning when a person wants to perform Hajj or Umrah, basically Umrah, and also Hajj. As we know, the place called Sa'i, where one performs what they call Sa'i, where he runs in between or goes in between Safa and Marwa. So Safa and Marwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's from the rituals of Allah, from His worship. And Allah says, whoever makes Hajj to the sacred house or performs Umrah, there's no problem for him to perform circumambulation around, or go around, if you want to just say it, keep it simple, to go around the Kaaba or to go in between Safa and Marwa. To go in between Safa and Marwa. طيب, how is this related to what we're talking about now? طيب. A person would say, okay, make a tawaf around the sacred house and also go in between Safa and Marwa and going back and forth from Safa to Marwa and Marwa to Safa. Of course, Allah is saying it's allowable. Why? What was the person would think in their mind? For before that, it wasn't. So what was the reason for why the ayah was sent down? So if you was to go to the ayah and check the reason why it was sent down, that on Safa and Marwa there used to be two idols. There used to be two idols. There was two paganistic idols that the people used to worship. And the people used to refrain, and they would find it a hardship from making tawaf due to those idols being there. So they didn't want to perform any type of worship because they were present at the time. This is before they were actually removed, those two idols. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down this ayah that we're discussing now due to this reason. So the reason why this ayah was revealed was because of this event that took place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said there's no junah. He said there's no problem. And that's permissible for still to what? To perform worship in these places, even though at that particular time those idols were there. That they still could perform their rituals of Hajj and still perform their rituals of Umrah, even though they were there at the time. So you'll find this as an example to show that the reasons of why certain ayats are revealed aids one into understanding the meaning of the ayah, or the meaning of the verse. And you'll find, brothers and sisters, there are books, and it's like an encyclopedia, that breaks down all the reasons why certain ayats were revealed. What was the events of why certain ayats were revealed, or certain verses were revealed. Also, what's extracted from this hadith is that the female or the woman to a man is at the level of, Ard al-Harth, meaning she's like will be resembled as a land of harvest, meaning that brings forth agriculture, it brings forth some type of what, something that will be born and conceived, and it will develop and grow. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the woman, meaning of her harth, of her private part, of course, is like a harvest, meaning a land in which one plants a seed. Something separate. Is everybody with me so far? Fine. So there's another benefit, but just everyone listen to this. I don't want anyone to write nothing down. Just stop for a second. There's a matter we want to mention, the mas'ala of intimacy. Does it go back to the woman? Or does it go back to the husband? Who is it obligatory upon? As far as the origin is what this comes in the next narration, or the narration after the second one that we're going to talk about today, where you'll find, if you look in your books, that if a man calls the woman to be intimate with him, and she refuses, then we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be angry with her, and the angels will curse her until the morning. طيب. So this is to show in the origin. And it's also to start off that the affair of intimacy initially returns back to the husband. It returns back to the husband. Now, of course, I know there's sisters out there that listen online and sisters on the other side that's going to say, well, what about, I know they're going to say this is a usual thing. What if my husband's not working and I'm working and I'm doing the majority of the work and I'm bringing home all the sustenance and I got 4 or 5 children and I'm exhausted and tired to the point I don't even want to be intimate. Then we say here to our sisters, fear Allah to the best of your ability. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of your ability. And to also likewise do the best you can. To the husband should understand that if he's not the sole provider of his household, then he needs to take a consideration of now relieving some of the duties of his wife as far as intimacy due to the fact of all the other responsibilities that she has to take care of and to maintain so he and she can have a roof over their head. And to have food in the house. And so things can run systematically, that a brother should take this in consideration. So a man now should not be, now, he works and you'll find his wife is doing multiple things and multiple of domestic duties and outside duties with her job and taking care of all the kids and having to cook and they have to clean and then working her 8-hour shift. And then the husband say, yo, I want to be intimate. If not, then you know what the hadith says. If this is the case, then we brothers need to what? Take it, well, this is what sisters need to say. Well, take in consideration, you're supposed to fully provide for me. Do you know that hadith, brother? Sisters do need to say this to people to give men a reality check. Just as I'm supposed to answer the bed, you're also supposed to solely provide for me. 100%. That's the religion. Am I right or wrong? Yes, it is. So that's the case. We're both now what? We're trying to what? Be patient with one another. So certain things that's an obligation for me, I'm not complaining about it. Just like certain things are obligations for you, and I'm not complaining about you. And I expect you to do the same, that you don't complain about it. Right or wrong? So we need to now do our best to work and work together with each other and to be a little bit more what? Considerate of one another. So brothers need to know that the obligation of spending is something that is obliged and an obligation, a duty upon the men. Men should not come with excuses. Well, Akhi, you know, we live in America, you know how it is. Okay, if that's the case then. Likewise, when a woman doesn't want to be intimate, she can use the same excuses for you. You know that we live in America and I have to work, so. But don't try to now use the religion when it's according to your comfort. So at the time when you're not working or she's doing a lot of the work and she's also compensating for a lot of the lesser things that are coming in the household that needs to be fulfilled so you can have a roof over your head. So you say, oh yeah, I'll allow her to work. Okay, no problem. All right. But now, of course, you know you're not fulfilling all your obligations due to whatever circumstance you're under. And it's not certain brothers' fault. Some of them are incarcerated, whatever. And we're not finding them blameworthy due to certain things that happen in their life. That's not the issue. The issue is now when brothers play games and certain people play games. You come in now and you say, now, okay, she can work. She helping me with the house. All right, so now the duty of me fulfilling or completely giving her haqq, I don't have to do that. And we say, yes, you do. But however, she's being patient with you, right? That's what you say to the brothers. And that's what I say to them. She's being patient with you. Because ultimately, the religion says you are the sole provider. It is what it is. Nobody can argue what Allah and His Messenger said. If you argue what Allah and His Messenger says, you got a problem. All right. So now he says, yeah, you're right. But yeah, we live in, you know how it is, AbdurRazzaaq. We live in days and times that, it's hard out here. Yeah, I agree with you. So now so when your wife says the same thing back to you, when you want her to be intimate, even though she's working full time with an overhead abaya, has to pray 5 times a day, take care of the kids, and also likewise feed you, and she comes home and she's dead tired, and she says to you, listen, I'm a little exhausted from being intimate. Oh, that's obligatory upon you to do. Oh, so now when she wants to say, you need to be understanding, and she says, babe, you know how it is. We live in a society where we both got to work, so I really sometimes can't fulfill your rights just like you don't fulfill mine. And we need to be patient with each other, right? Is it right or wrong? I'm just calling it how it is. A lot of people don't like probably what I say, but it is what it is. This is the reality. Just as men be patient with women, women are patient with men. This is the reason why we try to keep things maintained in our households so things can move in a systematic manner where everyone is fearing Allah to the best of their ability. So we're not telling brothers not to work, and we're not telling sisters to stop working if that's their situation. We're not saying that. We know in this country it's very hard right now. Economically, it is turmoil, and there's going to probably be more turmoil to come because we see it now. More turmoil to come. So that causes us now to even be more patient with each other. Just as the brother is not getting his rights, or just as the women aren't getting their rights and they're being fully maintained, they're being patient with you, our brothers. Brothers, the same thing. We ask them to please be patient with your sisters and our sisters when they're working full time and they have to take care of their children and they come in tired and sometimes they don't want to be intimate because they're exhausted. And we know women physically in their nature, they're weaker than men. Well, in certain instances they are. But as far as initially, if everything was correct and applied correct, women are in their physical caliber is way more weaker than men. They're not. Their bodies were not made to put up with the toils of the dunya like how Allah created our bodies. Our bodies were made to be durable and to take on certain rough matters. That's how we were created. To take on the toils of work. Physically, that's how Allah made it in our genetics. Women's the different. Allah, how He created their bodies was for what? It was for procreation, to help create. That's why they develop a chest. That's why they develop breasts. That's why they get immense. That's why they develop hips. Why? It's preparation for what? Reproduction. That's not physically how Allah created women. He created them for reproduction. To be in a house, to be domestically, to care to domestic duties. Physically, you can tell. Even in scientists, you can tell. If you look at a woman, look at a man, their physical caliber is different. Men, when they go to puberty, when they develop and go through genetics, they develop a chest, they develop strength. Why? You can tell clearly that Allah created man to work. That's his body. His physical capabilities was made to carry out this function, to work. To go out and get the what? The sustenance, to bring it back to the family. Women were not created like that. Once a woman reaches puberty, she gets a what, everyone? She gets immense. She starts to develop breasts. She starts to develop hips to the end of it. Why? Readying the body for what? Reproduction. It's clear as the sun in the sky. It's clear. How much clearer do we want to get? In silence, because everybody knows that's the truth. So being that the case, women now are taking on the duties of our brothers, in which we ask kindly, again, for our brothers to be patient with our sisters. When they sometimes want to come in and they don't want to be intimate due to the fact that they're exhausted or they're tired. And likewise, too, in certain instances where we want our sisters to be patient with our brothers, when they sometimes have 2 jobs and they're working very hard and they come in and they're extremely tired. We need to be patient with each other. When you see your husband coming in, it looks like he can barely hold his eyes open. You need to take in consideration my husband's tired. And not to say, well, I want what I want. and you see the man can barely hold his eyes open. Like, we need to consider each other and look at each other's actions. And not to want what we want because I want it now. But to take in consideration that everybody's struggling and everybody's working hard and everybody's is trying to be patient with everybody's rights that people with certain aspects are coming up short in. We need to be patient with each other. And not saying that I want what I want when I want it. That's not an attitude we should have. So same thing as I address our brothers, the same thing I address with our sisters. I try to be equal in what I say, but as you know, brothers and sisters, I am tired of hearing complaints about divorces left and right. I've been hearing it since the 90s, and I'm hearing it on this almost 2020, and it's still the same complaints. It's to the point now, like I said, I've heard a majority of the sisters keep telling me, and I keep coming back to me, and I'm listening. They said to the point where sisters, they don't even want to be married no more. Like, I don't even want to get married. I don't got time. I don't got time for the egotistical men that want to be egotistical knowing they're not doing what they're supposed to do. I don't got time for it. And I keep telling our brothers this. Brothers, it's to the point I keep hearing now women don't even want to get married because they ain't got time to deal with the egotistical men that's their egos always want to. So I'm a man in this and I'm a man in that. I don't know where I don't know where this type of mindset has come from, but to utilize Islam as a way, I guess, to so-called take the religion and twist it to a so-called, if you want to say, male chauvinist type of perspective of trying to exercise authority over a woman in order for her to go out and work. And you still want to now be howling and screaming at her just to make yourself feel like a man. That's not from the religion. A true man would humble himself and just say to his wife and just say, babe, I appreciate the fact that you're working, even though I know it's not your duty and it's not your obligation. I appreciate it. Then if you feel as a brother and yourself that you have a weakness for women, you want to get married again, express it to your wife. And be man enough to express it. And do not appeal. And this is the thing where I tell with brothers, don't be afraid for your wife now. If she's emotional, that's her sin. But at least you can say at the end, I was a man enough to express it to her, and I was a man and I said it to her. And she acts emotional and says, oh, I don't believe you want to get married on me. And oh, that's her sin at the end of the day. But you can never say that man was truthful to you. So now you say to your wife, I appreciate that you're working for me. I appreciate that you're working to help me. I appreciate what you're doing to come up where I come up short in, and I feel bad about it. Because real men feel bad that their wives have to work so hard. Real men feel bad about it. That these women have to go out here and work like a dog just to make ends meet. You see what happened with Prophet Ayub. That's a clear example of how a man's supposed to be. To the point where she had to cut her hair just to make ends meet. And that's where our Prophet Ayub couldn't take it no more. He made dua to Allah, oh Allah, relieve me of this burden. I can't take no more. To see my wife humiliate herself in this way just to make sure that me and her eat, I can't take it no more. So men find it disgraceful that their wife had to go out and bring in money for the household. That's disgraceful in a man's honor. A real man feels some type of way. So that's the reason why we're saying what? For brothers just to be grateful and happy that there's a woman that wants to aid you and wants to help you. Now, if you feel you have desires that I want to get married again. It's a fitna out here with these women. Just sit her down, talk to her, babe. As a man, it's a fitna out here with these women. I would like to get married again. Is there any way that we can try to work through this? Because this is how I feel. And it got nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you as a person. MashaAllah, you're beautiful. I'm attracted to you. Has nothing to do with your weight. Has nothing to do with your hair. Has nothing to do with you. This is just how men are. This is how we tell brothers to speak to women. Don't play the mind games. Oh, she fat. You gain 10 pounds, 20 pounds. You got varicose veins. You got cellulite. Your arms is jiggling. Your hair is all this. And you don't get dressed for me no more. Yeah, of course she don't get dressed for you no more. She's taking care of 3 kids. And she working 8 hours. And she also got to cook for you, clean for you, and all these other things. Of course she ain't going to look good all the time. Because you got her working like a man. Okay, so now we have to work together as a team to resolve it. So you do have women out there that will understand and say, okay, babe, you know what? I know me as a woman. I know I'm not beautifying myself as a woman as I should because I got all these obligations to do. But if you get married, let's try to work this out and let's just think about it. And sisters, if men come to you in this manner, you should be mature enough to accept it from him and try to aid him in good. Now, this is where your aqeedah and your test in the play of your belief system comes into place. Are you going to aid him or are you going to push him to do haram? Because I've heard stories where sisters have said out of their mouths, have said, I'd rather prefer that my husband have a girlfriend to get married again. And I've heard that. And I said, what? I prefer my husband to have a girlfriend to do certain things on the side than him get married. And we say to these sisters, you must have lost your mind. What good is going to come out of that? If a man sits you down and says to you maturely, brother, sister, I want another wife. Listen, in certain instances where sisters can't get pregnant, and I heard situations like this. Sister can't get pregnant, can't have no more children. Brother, since she married, don't have no kids. She don't want to let him get married again. And I've heard stories like this. It's come to me. I said, that's oppression. Sister, why are you holding on that man? You knowing that man want kids. Oh, I just can't take the fact he's going to have another child by another woman. All right, well, you can't. So what are you supposed to do? He's just supposed to be with you and just be into you. That's selfish love. You want to talk about how men are selfish? That's selfish. That's selfish. You got your kids. He don't. So this is the problem. So now you see when it comes to applying these ayat and hadith, this is where now the true person comes out. So now in these particular instances, sisters, this now, just as I got on my brothers, I'm going to come down on all my sisters. I'm going to be equal. Now, sisters, when a man is honest with you, you need to learn how to accept it. When a person tells you how they are, believe it. And that statement is true. Brother is telling you, this is how I feel. It has nothing to do with you. He comes to you respectfully. Sister, please, it has nothing to do with you. I love you for who you are. You're a beautiful person, beautiful personality. You know what I mean? MashaAllah, you've been holding me down. As far as, help pay the bills, you've been working. I'm a grateful man. But I have this inclination, desire to want to get married again. Is there any way that we can work through this? A good sister would say, when a person that believes in Allah on the last day, of course, she knows herself. If she got a good husband that's responsible and you see he's doing the best he can, okay, let's try to work through this. Or let's try to see what we can do to try to get you a good wife. Because that's the religion. You can't argue what Allah has legislated. You can't. When you start to argue what Allah has legislated, that's when problems occur. You cannot argue with Allah's religion. You can't argue what Allah has legislated. We have to get that through our thick heads. Once you start to argue what Allah has sent down, that's when chaos occurs in the earth. And that's when you're going to start having problems in your life. When we start accepting what Allah has sent down and submit to it, that's when all our lives will start to change. So if a sister now is saying, okay, let's work through this. Let's try to find you a wife, and I'm going to aid you in this good. That man right now, he will want to now what? He will start to love you even more. Because the fact that you're trying to be there for him. That'll help the love even grow even more amongst you and him. The problem where he starts to lose respect is when you start to now say, why do you feel like that? What, am I not enough? Why would you want to desire another woman? Something wrong with me? Now, sisters, you need to look to what Allah has revealed. Allah has clearly told you that He's created men in this manner. Has nothing to do with you. So don't you now start going in the mirror, pulling out your hair and looking at your shortcomings. Why does he deserve another woman? No, he wants another woman because that's just how I created him. Has nothing to do with you. The moment women start understanding this, their self-esteem will stay intact. And they will love themselves. But it's incumbent upon men to make that clear too. Every person knows, and I've talked to brothers about this, and we laugh about this all the time when I'm talking to brothers. I don't care if a man had the most beautiful woman in the dunya with the most smallest stomach, the greatest hips, the big whatever chest or whatever, how she looked, the longest hair, the greatest complexion. If you had that, you still would want a second wife. That's just how Allah created men. You might have had all the surgeries done and all the fat removed and all the whatever stuff they get done and the fat moving. That's the new thing now. They get fat moved around in the body, even though they still messed up in their guts, but still they get the fat moved around in their body, put the fat here and take the fat out there. And then you'll find at the end, he still what? Cheated on you. Why? That's even with the kuffar now. Women, they start losing their mind. I got all this work done on my body. He still cheated on me. You know why he still cheated on you? Because that's how Allah created him. He's a man. That's how Allah created men. The day you learn to accept that is the day your self-esteem will remain intact. And stop thinking that you got to go twist your body and making it look like a doll baby to make this man stay with you. Like I said, you could get the most beautiful woman in the dunya. I don't care who she is, the most longest hair, whatever type of preference any man has. Whatever she's tall, short, whatever you like. The most beautiful complexion you can think of, with the most best body you can ever be imaginable in a man's mind. He still want to get married again and want another wife. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? G. So sisters and everyone that's listening, this is what we're trying to now instill in the minds of our people. Basically, you know what, to sum up everything? Just take what Allah has said and they submit to it, and everything will be good. So now getting back to the benefits of the hadith. The affair of intimacy goes back to the man. That's initially his haqq. Take in consideration all the other details we said. Because I don't want no people to think that, oh, that's what if I'm working all these hours and I'm tired? That's another circumstance. That's for another time. We're talking about these narrations with the ulama mentioning is if the man is doing what he's supposed to, he's responsible, he's carrying out his duties, that is obligatory for the woman to now be in the house and decorating herself and answering to call when he calls her to be intimate with him. A person would say, Tayyib, what about a woman? What if she's intimate or she wants intimacy and she's a young lady, youthful, what have you? The initial hukum or the ruling for this is, even though the origin of the ruling goes back to a man, even though the ruling goes back to the man, it is his right and it's obligatory if he calls you to be intimate. However, a woman will say, well, what about me? I have desires. Is it obligatory for him to answer my call if I ask him? So that's the question. You'll find that Ahl Ilm say that this answer to this goes back to the customs of the people, depending on the land that they're in, depending on the land and the places that they're in. That it goes back to the urf, the customs. That if it's if it's customary or customarily known in a particular land that women need to be more intimate than usual, based upon, I guess, everyone's desires are different as far as women, then that will that is how a woman should be accommodated. There's certain women out there that intimacy is not a big problem upon them. Certain women, it's the opposite. Certain women that it is a problem. If they're not intimate more often than usual, then it's a problem. So ultimately, this affair goes back to the customs of what's considered an accommodation based upon the situation. Based upon the situation of the woman. But initially, the right of this goes back to the man. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Also, from the benefits of this hadith, as we said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the husband the freedom, of course, of intimacy in regards to, like I said, keep in mind, we're being mature. Don't be laugh or what have you. That he gave the freedom in regards to intimacy to be intimate with her in any position he likes, as long as it's what? In regards to what? As long as it's in the private part, of course. As long as it's in the private part. Last thing, and I'm going to stop here. You notice in the hadith that it says the ayah, come to your harvest how you will. How you will. Everyone notice that in the ayah if you look in your books? It says come to your harvest how you what? How you will, if you look at your books. How you will is a refutation against a deviant sect called the Jabriyah. The Jabriyah. It's the deviant or innovated sect called the Jabriyah. What's the Jabriyah? The Jabriyah they believe that the actions of the servants or the slaves have been forced upon them, that they had no choice in the matter. So you'll find in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes for the creation their will, that they have their own will, even though the will of the creation falls behind the will of the Creator. The Jabriyah, the deviant sect called the Jabriyah, remove this will. They say, no, the creation has no will. Everything has been forced. Everything has been what? Been forced upon them. That they do not will something of an action, nor are they what? Nor are they able to do it. Rather, it's been forced upon them by Allah. We said that this belief is incorrect. It is also what? It is also false, and it's a type of deviance that is major. Because right now, a person came up to you right now and smacked you and hit you in your face out of nowhere. And they said, I didn't do it, Allah did it. Would you accept that? Absolute nonsense. You look at you like you look at the person like they're crazy. So that's the belief of the Jabriyah, basically. The fact that you walk up to the person, they smack you. Oh, I didn't do it, Allah forced me to do this to you. I had no will over it. Nobody's going to accept that. It's absolute nonsense. So this is to show how all these deviant sects come with things that are very comical and very regretful and sorrowful at the same time. There is actually people out here that believe this nonsense. And there's no person that would accept this. Rather, you'll find that Umar al-Khattab was tested with an individual like this, where somebody stole, and he tried to use the divine decree as a justification. He said, Umar al-Khattab, I stole, that was by the qadr of Allah. Basically, Allah forced it upon me. I had no control over it. It was by His qadr. So Umar al-Khattab said this profound statement. He says, yeah, you stole by the qadr of Allah. I'm going to cut your hand off by the qadr of Allah. And I'm also going to establish the had by the qadr of Allah. So, for a person now to come and kill someone and then try to blame the qadr of Allah or oppress an individual or oppress a person or steal their money or steal their wealth or kill an individual and say, it wasn't me, Allah did it. It's absolute nonsense. Nobody will accept it from you. You are the one that's going to be held responsible, and you're the one that's going to what? Have to now deal with the repercussions because of your actions. And no one now can blame. You cannot blame the qadr of Allah, or nor can you say, oh, these actions have been forced upon me. That's absolute nonsense. No one is going to accept that. طيب. We'll stop here, inshallah. Any questions about the lesson? There's a lot about to come in already. Oh, man, I forgot the... Any questions about the lesson? Yes or no, sisters? Sisters? Did they say yes or did they say no? One said, she said yes or did she say no? No. Jay, we'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. A person will ask me, as this has been asked, AbdurRazzaaq, why do you keep